some unknowns for Saturday with your group, but just what do you want out of the guys that are actually practicing this week, and what do you need to see out of these receivers going into this game?
Well, the good thing is we have a lot of guys that we've practiced with over fall. Even when I spoke to you guys last time in the spring, we had a lot of guys who were making some plays and whatnot. So some of these guys are ready to, they've been chomping at the bit anyway to get their opportunities. So I'm just excited for some of these guys to get to showcase what they really are all about. There's a bunch of them. So, you still got Yassine, you still got Milton Wright, he's chomping at the bit once again, Brock Thompson, Colin Sullivan, TJ, Anthrop. I mean, there's still a bunch of them, so we'll get them going.
Monday, Coach Brown mentioned Preston Tyrell's name as well, a true freshman. I mean, is he really ready, you think, maybe to help if called upon?
I'll tell you what, man, Preston over the last probably 2 weeks, we had a good talk, him and I, one-on-one, and, he just went out and started working, just kind of shut down all the other outside influences and said, let me just go out here and work. And he's, because of it, he has really looked really good actually over the last few days. Even today's practice, he had a really good practice today once again. So very proud of him. He's got a long way to go still to be the elite level player that he needs to be in our room. But you know what? He's a guy that could go in there and make a play.
What about Deion Burks?
Oh my goodness, the boy has run fast, okay? He's been running really fast in practice. I like what I'm seeing from him. He's doing really well on special teams. Even at one point we put him in at running back and he went out there and he's making plays at running back. So he's a young man who we've placed in a lot of different positions, but obviously when you put a young guy, a freshman like that in a lot of different positions, that's a lot of learning for them to be able to handle over the course of a whole game. So, we're just trying to see how he's going to be able to handle everything and then unleash him wherever we feel like he can be most productive.
I mean, if you don't have Dave, obviously Milton elevates himself into a number one type of position, but what's the step for him to not only get there, but stay there?
No question about it. I mean, undoubtedly he has to catch the football, and that's what him and I have talked at length about. And you guys know I'm not. This isn't foreign to me. Our first year here with Anthony Mahungu and Greg Phillips and some of those guys, we had some issues, and of course we ended up getting that fixed. Okay, and so. Fought our tails off to get that fixed, to get us to a bowl game. And so obviously I know the formula. I know how to work at it to get them there, and we'll get them there. We will. And to be quite honest about it, I don't think he has as far to go as people think. I mean, a couple of those are really tough catches. You just got to make them. But at the end of the day, a drop's a drop. We don't make any excuses in the room at all. I just want to be clear, he doesn't have that long to go. But we got things for it though. We do things to fix that for sure.
But it's more about consistency too.
Correct, right? Absolutely. And once he, to be honest about it, Milton goes harder than any player on our whole football team. I mean, in practice, during the game, he goes as hard as anybody we have out there. And so, I just want to see him be able to harvest the fruits of his labor. So, and a part of that is, when you get opportunities, you got to take advantage of those opportunities, and he will.
Is Brock Thompson ready for a bigger role?
I certainly think so. He's ready for it. He's done a really good job for us, to be honest about it. He's done a really good job. Very proud of how he works every day. His leadership within the group, it's starting to permeate kind of the whole football team. He's got great leadership skills. He does it different than anyone else I have in the room. He's an in-your-face, kind of like me as a coach. He's an in-your-face. He's going to bark at you. He's going to have high expectations, and then he's going to hold himself to those same high expectations as well. So he doesn't show up on lists. He doesn't show up not going to class or any of that stuff. No, this kid, he got high expectations for himself, so then he has high expectations for those around him. So because of that, that obviously elevates what we think for him as his role as a football player. And I think that he's ready for it. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, he's constantly in my hip pocket during the game. Yeah, I'm going in, I'm going in, I'm going in, and like every other play. So he's ready for it too.
But to have a veteran guy like that in this week of a little bit of uncertainty, how for you to lean on him too, but also for players to lean on him, how important is that?
The good part about it is we don't really feel uncertain, to be quite honest about it, with our group. We really feel like it's a next man up mentality, and they practiced like it today, like it was a next man up mentality. We're not changing anything that we do. It's going to be the same thing that we do as an offense, and these guys know that we have set a standard within the group, and they have to meet or exceed the standard. And so Brock, he feels like it's just time for the next guy to go make plays, and that's how we're going to approach this game.
With David Bell, and Marshawn Rice potentially not being out there on Saturday, they played the same position. One came out, other came in these past few weeks. Just is there going to be some shuffling around players that potentially playing different positions that they're not normally playing, and how comfortable are they, potentially doing that?
And that's the great thing about working with Coach Braun. We talked about this way early on, way back before camp, about making sure that we're shuffling the guys during camp, during practices. So Milton Wright can easily go over to the other side. Brock can go over to the other side. Yassine, any of those guys can go flip-flop sides. So we've done that in practices. So that in and of itself won't be a problem whatsoever. And to be quite honest about it, some of them feel more comfortable on one side or the other, away from where they're originally at. So they feel more comfortable over there. So there will be zero drop-off in that regard, because they know and understand the playbook, and that's sort of how we teach them when they first walk into the door. Hey, if you're going to play on this side, it really mirrors the other side.
Going back to Milton Wright a little bit, when we talked to Jackson, he said that Milton came out here today. He wasn't super talkative, but just had a really good practice. Just what did you see from him, and what kind of things did you see out there that kind of contributed to the day he had today?
Well, his focus was great. He's got a lot of things going on off the field that him and I are working through together. But because of that, I think some of his focus was back to where he needed to be, because we had some good time to really try to figure out some of those things going on off the field, with family and stuff like that. So I think that contributes a lot to the focus that he had today. He knows what's at stake. I mean, most of these young men, they know exactly where the potential is. They can see how we see them as men, as players, and they have expectations for themselves, and they know we have expectations for them, and they want to meet and exceed those expectations. Okay, so Milton has a certain amount of expectation for himself, and he didn't meet or exceed that this past week, and so he's going back to the drawing board, and we're not reinventing the wheel. All right, we're just tweaking a few things and making sure the wheel is spinning correctly.